because I'm weaving ancient wisdom and modern medicine. I like to talk about forgiveness. The work there would be the practice of Ho'oponopono. Sorry,
Hmm.
please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I forgive
I'm
myself.
sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I forgive myself.
How many of us
Hmm.
have it?
Yeah.
I've never done that practice. So it always starts with forgiving the self first, right? Like loving the self first, so that it becomes a natural, spontaneous outpouring of our heart. So it's not even an effort to act out of kindness or goodness. It's just the natural instinct, the natural outpouring of our being, which is a lot of the aspect of we become the medicine. We don't have to say anything or do anything. Like who we are, our personal cultivation at this point, our very presence is healing.
You like to call it our own inner pharmacy, our souls desperately need and long for.
I'm just using the tools I have to remind them of their inner healer, their inner teacher, their inner wisdom, because the body has its own innate intelligence to heal itself.
And that, my friends, feels like true inner freedom. Well, hey there, and welcome back to Fire and Soul, the space to deepen into your divine alignment and further activate your inner awakening. What if the medicine that you are seeking is already alive within you? Today's guest, Dr. Cass Naumann, reveals how to access your inner pharmacy with ancient wisdom and practices our souls desperately need and long for. This is such a yummy conversation, one that I have been waiting to have and share with you for a few months now, ever since I met Dr. Cass for my birthday tea party celebration, which you'll hear all about. And this is a beautiful weave all around the sacred alchemy of healing. So let me give her a proper introduction, and then I want to offer you up an invitation in case it calls. Dr. Cass is a classically trained integrative Chinese medicine doctor, licensed and board certified acupuncturist, clinical herbalist, and ordained Daoist priestess. She's a professor of medical Qigong, Daoist medicine, and meditation, a wisdom keeper of medicine traditions east and west, ceremonialist of tea, incense, Arapaho pipe carrier, I hope I said that correctly, trauma informed psychedelic guide, a Reiki master teacher, recording artist, pianist, vocalist, vibrational sound healer, author, and international retreat leader. And now a friend to you and a friend to me, and a beautiful gift along our paths as we all find ourselves on this most magical journey. And both Cass and I are in Will Reasons, who is the founder and owner of Trauma and Somatics, where I became a trauma-informed practitioner and now finishing up my certification as an attachment and somatics practitioner. And Dr. Cass is in that training with me. And so we speak a little bit about that experience and how meaningful and profound it's been for us both and continues to be. And so if this happens to pique your curiosity and you'd like to explore more, then I will invite you to check out Trauma and Somatics, and I'll leave the link in the show notes. And then if you feel called to enroll in one of their trainings that they offer several times a year, then you can always use my name, Michelle Sorrow, at the checkout code and receive a significant savings. And if you do that, let me know, because nothing would make my heart happier in this moment than knowing that you are on that path as well. Because once you learn yourself in that way, you can meet everyone else no matter where they are. And that, my friends, feels like true inner freedom. And so, with that said, I feel so excited and honored to bring you this really sacred conversation. She offers us a beautiful chant and blessing at the end, so I encourage you to listen all the way through. All right, with that said, please enjoy. I'm so happy that you're here and that we're both sitting here with our cups of tea.
Mhm.
Is there, tell me how we would open this if we were together, just sitting, in ceremony, sipping tea as the opening of this beautiful time together on the podcast.
Yeah, let's place the cup on our hearts and dropping attention to the heart space and just setting an intention for our time together. My intention is flow and ease and grace and authenticity and a deepening of knowing of each other. Yes, and just that this would be a blessing to anybody listening.
I mean, I'll amplify that and I'll add a little sparkle of joy, which just is the beautiful thread that's already here. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Hmm.
Yeah. Let's drink to
Cheers.
that.
Mhm. Mhm. Which brings me to, yeah, how I met you. And I want to share about that because it's really special. When I was knowing that I was moving here, there were people, and you were probably amongst them, that I would see in Instagram stories having all these tea ceremonies. And there was a lot of ritual and reverence, and I was just in awe. And I had never been invited to something like that or really even heard of anything like that. I mean, except from like, I don't know, movies or faraway books, and right? And but I knew that I was one of the, it was like the top of my little bucket list of moving to Austin. And so I was here not quite a year, and it was going to be my birthday. And I had a friend said, "You have to do a birthday." And I was like, seems a little bit much, my first year, and it's not a big birthday. And she was like, mm-mm. So Kayla, I want to give her some love. She was like, yeah, let's do something. I was like, a tea ceremony, exactly. And I was like, oh. And I didn't know where to find one. And I didn't know that it was you and that you were this, unbelievably beautiful, ordained, priestess in this space, amongst many other things. And anyway, so as it would go, I was introduced to you from Ruby Fremont. And she was like, Dr. Cass is the one. So brought you in, and we had this incredible tea ceremony for my birthday with all the women who, in the almost year I had been in Austin, had opened their hearts to me. And then it turns out that that tea ceremony bonded us so deeply through that ritual, through that reverence, that that particular small group of friends has gone on to become this whole other thing that is, it's like we found each other through that tea ceremony. And anyway, so I just want to say thank you, because that experience was really sacred, really special, better than I could have ever dreamed of. And you brought in such intention and energy and, yeah, and an honor for ceremony and lineage and all the things. So I don't know if there's a question there, but I just wanted to open with deep honor of you, and I'm excited and energized to know you. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
Mm.
so thankful that we got to meet in that way and now this way. And our paths keep finding each other in
I know.
person and on screens. And
It's really incredible. And I know that it's just the beginning. And so, gosh, there's so many places to start with you. But I really love the fact that you have like all these millions of threads, not millions, but so many important threads that weave together. And so I would love to know, when was the beginning of your awakening around merging Chinese medicine and ceremonial wisdom, with also somewhere in there getting the call to become an ordained Daoist priestess? So, however you want to answer that, I really want to share your backstory.
okay,
Mm.
it's a long, winding road, but I'm very happy to share.
We've got time.
First thing, the first thing that comes to mind is my dear friend, who was my mentor, best friend. His name was George Reef. And, right before we started recording, I was mentioning a past life as a musician. So I majored in music at UT and wanted to write music and put out a record. And he was my producer. And I was one of the first records that he produced. And he practiced Qigong, acupuncture, herbs, Taoism, Buddhism. So the first I heard about many of these things was from him.
Mm.
And I had been ill after having my son, my second son, and he suggested that I go get acupuncture and herbs. And I was like, what's that? And so I went to AOMA, which was the school here in Austin, which I actually became a professor of after graduation, but it closed down this past April. And as fate would have it, when I arrived into clinic, Dr. Will Morris, who was the dean and president of the school, was the one treating me. And a few sessions in, I had this moment where I was like, if this medicine works when Western medicine has failed me, no one's been able to figure out what's wrong or how to heal me. Like, I'm quitting everything and I'm going back to school and I'm going to do this. And Will is a yogi and an incredible musician and attuned me to Reiki, and I ended up studying with him through the master's, through the doctorate program. He's still a mentor and dear to me to this day. I learned pulse diagnosis, herbs. I hold the torch through our lineage with Reiki here now that he's moved to British Columbia. So he was there. The day this story kind of happens that George had called me, and short version, I eventually found him by dropping a pin on his phone. He went to the hospital, was diagnosed with a brain tumor, turned out to be metastatic lung cancer. Will was with me the day I got the call and had that very classic slide down the back of the wall, overcome with grief. I was in the doctoral program and ended up focusing a lot on oncology at the time in an effort to heal him, as well as medical qigong, which my large fascination and interest is around emotional alchemy. So the lungs and large intestine are unprocessed grief. Was definitely true for his case, along with mold exposure and a lifetime of experiences, of course. During the doctoral program, I had the opportunity to study in Japan through another college, Emperor's College out of Los Angeles. And so I got my doctoral rotation hours, a large chunk of them in Kyoto, Japan. And it was in Kyoto where I first started studying tea ceremony, incense, and sitting in a monastery every morning for hours of meditation. It was my first experience in a Buddhist monastery. And studying with a teacher there, Dr. Maeda Sensei, who really incorporated a lot of Buddhist aspects in medicine into the Chinese medicine. Also, we were in Japan. And there's a lot of kind of political stuff behind the scenes about Chinese medicine, East Asian medicine, Korean, Taiwanese, what to call this conglomeration of... I'm not even sure what the most respectful, correct term is for this incredible medicine at the moment. It's being debated everywhere. I'm sure we'll choose honorably and wisely. I became a Buddhist. Not really there's no real conversion ceremony. It was just how I took a bodhisattva vow. I found a temple here. I found a teacher in upstate New York. I was led to a teacher in upstate New York. His name is David Radin Yoshin. He's known there at the Gozen Center. And when I came back to the States, everything had changed. And shortly thereafter, I think maybe 3 or 4 months later, George transitioned. And that experience was so beyond my understanding and my ontological, meaning what my beliefs around reality were at the time. The things that I witnessed in the days to follow did not fit my Judeo-Christian upbringing, which I had not fully let go of despite practicing as a Buddhist. That really shook my world entirely and led to the first question of this kind of 3-set question you asked me about spiritual awakening. I mean, I could look back and say, as a little girl, I used to, sing with the birds in the trees and commune with nature. I think before we sometimes forget when society kind of pulls the veil over. There's a lot of herbology, Native American wisdom and medicine in my household growing up. So I was brought up around some pretty fascinating things. My dad is a bit of a closeted conspiracy theorist. We went to family vacations to Roswell, the grassy knoll. So
cool.
I definitely had some eccentricities around me growing up. But this was a pivotal moment. That trip to Kyoto doing doctoral rotations, we were doing oncology and pediatrics and then cosmetics. And then a lot of it was about cultivating the self. And Dr. Maeda Sensei was saying how, this is a teacher in Japan, that you can't treat anyone whose frequency or vibration is higher than yours. So the more people you want to help, the higher you need to raise your vibration. This was his language. Some people will understand what that means. And not to say that I do. I have my interpretation of what that comes to mean. So George's passing it's one of those marks, that there was a before and after.
About what time was this? What year?
This was 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, not 8 years. It was 8 years ago, not that long ago.
But doesn't it also feel like it was forever ago and yet like yesterday? It's so weird time. I know.
So,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in a lot of ways, I barely remember anything before it. So
Oh,
when
yeah.
people talk about timeline hopping,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of felt like that. I just went through this wormhole of quick refinement and cultivation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, on the other side.
How long was that process, by the way? About
11 months.
okay. That was pretty fast.
I was primed.
Yeah, that's true.
So, I
Yeah.
mean, I was raised in the church. Like we were always there Wednesday, Sundays. I was acolyte. I played organ and piano, and then became
Mm.
part of a worship band in college. And like
Oh.
religion, spirituality, I related more to the Holy Spirit than I think anything else. That was kind of always with me. I was always wanting a relationship with the divine. It's just the
Mm.
word that I choose now, but God.
Mhm.
I really love Sufism because of the devotion from the heart, that
Mhm.
poetic. It's taken, I rewrote a vow last year, kind of sitting down the Bodhisattva vow for a period of time. And it just says, I vow to live my life as a love song to the divine.
Oh,
It feels very Sufi-esque, but
oh, that's really beautiful.
where I'm at, it's kind of
Yeah.
evolving. I've kind of picked back up the Bodhisattva vow, but
Mhm.
that vow probably speaks to the heart of who I am more than any other words I can think of, like the heart of devotion. And that's where so much ritual and ceremony comes in. And I'm sure we'll go back to that
Mhm.
in a moment. And I'll finish answering your question.
My questions in one question.
Questions. Yeah, that's I can remember them, right? Chronologically. So George's passing, and then at the end of that year, I graduate with my doctorate and open my practice. And it's funny, my mind just kind of blanked for a second. Isn't that funny when that happens?
It's, yeah, it's almost like whose reality was that?
You know,
What was that time?
I know. Okay, and so it's come back to me.
Uh-huh.
Your editor just be like, "Oh, zip, zip." I know why, because it's such a strange thing, because it was a screen. So on Facebook, which was how so many people stayed in contact, especially because the year following this, COVID came along. But it was a group of Chinese medicine practitioners, acupuncturists, Taoist practitioners, anyway, on Facebook, right? Spirit can speak anywhere.
Yeah.
I saw this new Taoist, we call it cohort, each like year that comes along, was beginning in the United States. And
Mhm.
so my teachers there, or Shifu, or the priests, Jack Schaefer and Josh Painter, and at the time, Ross Rosen was there as an ordained priest also, and these were our teachers.
Mhm.
And it would be years before we met in person because of COVID. We couldn't get to China to be ordained. So eventually they flew our abbess to New York City for the night, ordained us in the temple there, and then flew her back home. And then we finally got to all meet in person and have a retreat together. It was so beautiful. But back that up to say I started reading a lot about Taoism, the similarities or differences between Taoism and Buddhism, the birthplace of Chinese medicine, how much they went hand in hand. But what
Mhm.
really spoke to me was the efficacy of the medicine is really directly correlated to the cultivation of who you are. So basically being a good person, right? So following precepts, following the natural order of things for the Tao. So
Mhm.
I applied and I became a part of the second cohort. There was a group before me. And so I think that was in 2018. So it was right after graduation, right after George passed.
Mhm.
I started studying in earnest with them. And I was very interested in learning the medicine teachings and
Mhm.
practices as a Chinese medicine doctor. And a lot of them are protected. You have to be ordained to get access to a lot of these teachings. And so
Mm.
initially I was like, well, okay, I'll get ordained. I just want access to these tools to help people. And of course, that's not really what it's about at all. In fact, a title such as, a monk or a nun in Buddhism, or a priest or a Daoist, there's different stages of priesthood in Taoism. It's really about taking on the mantle of service, serving community, and it's a great responsibility. Even so far as I remember my teachers saying, like, now that you're a student, until you get ordained, like, your karma is our karma. Take that on for you. I remember that distinctly, like, it feeling like, oh my goodness, I really have to have every moment of my being together to protect them.
Yeah,
I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. Like, that is really genuinely how I felt. It's just like a really big thing. So the merging of Taoist medicine and Chinese medicine, so many things running through my mind. My understanding and from the history is, we had oracle bones, and the first needles were probably bones and intended for what would be called exorcisms. However, you can think of it like exorcising a demon, but oftentimes those demons are negative thoughts. They're anger, rage, frustration, right? Grief. That's initially what they were used for. And then there was the shaman, the woo, kind of underneath all of this undercurrent. I feel all these history things coming through my mind, but that's not what this podcast is about. I don't want to go in that direction. But it was fascinating to really see how far back the lineage goes, as far back as recorded time in terms of shamanism in Siberia, with this medicine that's been studied thousands of years. Studying of the body, of all of the herbs, the combination, the diagnoses are so eloquent and accurate to this day, with pattern diagnoses. It's just an incredibly eloquent, beautiful medicine, and everything I learn about it makes me fall in love with it more and more every day. Luckily, I'm really good at it and I love it. And luckily, I've had mentors along the way that could speak to the other parts of me, as a musician or as someone that practiced yoga and meditation and the spiritual cultivation as a part of the practice. So I think I touched on your question.
Yeah, because there was this sort of concept in my mind, even though we're very fluid here, and that's the plan, is to stay fluid. But it was sort of, I wanted to take a moment to honor how you have bridged so many worlds and found the weave for you that's awakened you and helped you cultivate more of an awareness around whom you're meant to teach and touch and heal in many ways. And it also feels fairly essential in these evolutionary times to like weave multidimensional, seemingly disparate worlds, which they're not. But like, what is your take on that? On like the importance of drawing from so many of the aspects of our worlds in the times that we're in, especially as we're recording this about, in the eclipse portal, of September 2025, it's a very heightened time yet again in the collective, around the world, in the hearts of everyone. It's heavy for many, and it's also becoming more refined and nuanced in terms of how important it is to anchor the codes of heaven on earth.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's what I pick up from you, and it's what I'm feeling here. So yeah, wherever you want to flow on that, of the importance of weaving the worlds.
Yes. The weave, the first thing I saw was sweetgrass, like braiding sweetgrass. I was in a pipe, so I lodged 2 nights ago, and that's my favorite smell. There is a well-known Chinese medicine text called Between Heaven and Earth. It's one of the first books they have you read when you are contemplating Chinese medicine school. And the other one's called The Web That Has No Weaver. And I just mention them because the titles are so beautiful and speak to what you're talking about.
I'm getting chills.
It's so incredible. So in the Daoist Chinese medicine cosmology, human, the Ren, is between heaven and earth. So we have heaven, the celestial realms above us, and then the earth shamanic realms beneath us. And we are the ones that walk in between, thus the between heaven and earth. So I think so many of the practices are both anchoring into the earth, to allow for the ascension. And I think it was Carl Jung that spoke to that. Like I will misquote it, but it was like the higher you want to go, the deeper you have to go. Like as
embodied ascension. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And it's easy to forget that in at least the circles I am familiar with. You and I are both Venn diagram, conscious communities, spiritual communities, around Austin and other places. There's so much emphasis given to the spiritual practice, or to like these northern schools of thought that are about transcending the body, as if the body is bad or something to be ashamed of, or its proclivities. Definitely spiritual bypassing would go into that container. And then the southern schools, to the exclusion of meditation, though, are all about the body and immortality and refining it. But I think the balance in between the two, and there's Indian teachings called Madhyamaka that are the bridge between them, is that the body is a vehicle for transformation. Like we are soul, spirit contained in this form, that we have this blessed incarnation, which is so rare, in this human body to anchor codes, to learn whatever lesson we're here to learn. I know I'm speaking in a few different paradigms.
We're tracking. We have been in these paradigms throughout the show for the last few years. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I'm not as familiar for sure of your audience.
Karmic to dharmic pathway, anchoring codes without that just being rhetoric. Like, what does that really mean as a lived frequency? We've been talking a lot about trauma-informed care, somatics. All the places that you have traversed as well. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And where we recently found ourselves again.
I didn't know if you were talking about that publicly, but I was like, what? You're in the attachment and somatics training with Will Reason as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have to weave in that really quickly. What brought you there after all that you have learned and activated? Yeah. I'm very curious what grounded you there.
I'm going to share the story, but let's check with Will that it's okay that I share this before we broadcast it. Is that okay?
Yeah, totally. This will be a good mark.
You have an editor here. Okay.
Yeah.
A year, maybe it was 2 years ago, I don't recall the timeline, there was a lama, a Tibetan lama, Lama Tashi Norbu, who came through Austin, traveling the world, and he was an artist, and he also did tattoos based on your birthday, and did your main, they would say like your deity. I couldn't really say what compelled me to do this, other than I heard about it, and I was like the first one to be like, yes, I'm in. Like when he comes to your town, like, let me know. Here's my deposit. And so I went and had my tattoo done. I actually ended up getting kind of 3 in a row, because
you are you.
What it was, I needed it. I also needed like medicine Buddha and some other things like on my body. And while you get the tattoo, everyone in the room is chanting your mantra while you're receiving it. And, it takes an hour or several hours. So beautiful. So I had that done, and I had a little allergy to the tape because I'm a natural redhead. And of course I am sensitive to all things. I'd gone back the next day just to have him take a look at it and to take the tape off and put something different on it. And when I walked in there, Will was there getting his tattoo, and there was no one else there. And so I sat back in the back of the room, and I didn't know it was Will yet. I didn't know who it was. And so for, if I recall correctly, 30 minutes, an hour, I chanted his mantra while he got his tattoo. And then, we said hello, and I got the tape, and I was like, this is something I want to give you. So his tattoo is I want some of that story to be his to tell or protect it. So if it's a certain deity that I had a tanka of in my house, and the tanka are these really beautiful Tibetan silk things with the deity, and it's gold that you can cover it up or lift it up. I have another one in the other room that Will brought back for me a few months ago as a thank you, years later, for the one that, so I was like, I want to give this to you. And a few weeks later, he would text it, I'm in your neighborhood, and he didn't even come in. He was kind of at the threshold. I was like, so happy to share this with you, like, have a nice life. And then fast forward, I don't know, many months later, 6 months later, we were both invited to this dinner where Marianne Williamson was speaking at some mutual friend's house. And we were seated next to each other. And I was like, oh, I know you. I know you. So at dinner, we sat across from each other, and Marianne Williamson was leading. It was a beautiful conversation over this incredible dinner. And Will had a lot to say, and I'm very shy, so I didn't say a lot, but I agreed with so much of what he was saying. And I was so compelled by what he was saying. And I don't know if we talked there or maybe text or messenger after, but it was like, like we should get together and talk more about this and see how we can make this not just talk, but like really some action behind these beautiful ideas so they don't just go away after a lovely dinner. We decided to trade services and got on so swimmingly well. Like one day, I think we talked 9 hours straight, like the sun set and we just kept talking. And discovered that he has a synthesis of these like 7 modalities that he's mastered, and I have the synthesis of like these 7 modalities that I've mastered, but they don't really cross over, even though they're saying the same thing. And so one in his would, it's oversimplification, but he would say like his side is the Western side and my side is more of the Eastern side, but they're bridging each other. And the religion of this time on the planet, arguably a science. And so that can be the bridge, like the bridge between science and spirituality can reach masses. This is one school of thought. So he invited me into the course, and I'm going to be teaching, I don't know if I'll be teaching a module on contemplative arts, but I'm going to be teaching some Qigong classes. So you know how there's like all the resources on the side? I'll be teaching, I think come November or December, some Qigong and some contemplative meditation coursework as like an additional option for the community at large. But first I wanted to go through his programs, which I'd known about for many, many years and been interested in doing. And also just meet the community and become part of the community. And as you know, it's so much more than I could have possibly anticipated, and healing me in ways I didn't even know I needed to be healed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. And for those who are wondering if this is the same Will Reason who was on Fire and Soul, yes. My very first question to him, long before I ever knew that I would learn from him and he'd become my mentor in trauma-informed practitionership and attachment style and somatics, and I'm sure more going forward. And I asked him first question, Will, does healing have to be hard? Because I have this real knowing that it doesn't have to be hard. It just requires honesty. And so we really just spent the whole podcast talking about that. And of course, moments it feels hard, but it doesn't all have to be hard, and we don't have to stay in the hard. Because there has been a lot of that as well, as people just don't know how to pull themselves out. And it makes so much sense as to why they wouldn't and why I haven't in moments, right, when I could just feel so stuck in the shadow and in the patterns. And so, yes, it is profoundly healing. And so like you are trauma,
right?
I can't unsee now. I can't unfeel now. First for self and for others. And so all the things that used to annoy me or trigger me or activate me, now the first thing I think is, what trauma are they carrying? And so it takes me to this beautiful place of compassion, but then now I'm learning boundary work and really understanding what that means somatically, right? So I'm not collapsing and enmeshing, but I'm also not being so rigid that I'm cutting you off and I don't care. It's like, it's just this whole beautiful thing. So when I saw you show up, I was like, Dr. Cass is in the training. Our worlds are
coming to collide again.
Yes, yet again. So yeah, I love knowing that's how you came into this space. And, this kind of brings me to something that we've been talking about, but not specifically, and that's around awakening to our own inner knowing, our own, you like to call it our own inner pharmacy. And one of the things that I was really touched by when we were chatting one day on the phone, not even as a podcast prep, but you're like, yeah, something that, was on my intake form for new patients is 2 things that really stood out to me. What brings you joy and what are your spiritual practices? And I would love for you to share on why you ask those questions and why it matters to you.
Yes, I was working in a practice called integrative psychiatry, Austin, and it took a while. Those questions they came up organically, and I realized in retrospect how much data I was collecting, but at the time I didn't know that that was what was happening. But I found a direct correlation, 1 to 1, way beyond statistical significance of like a 0.6. Like I cannot find in the records that I have any example of when this wasn't true. If I ask someone, what brings you joy? And they could offer something. And do you have a spiritual practice? Yes. Or do you have a spiritual practice? No. What brings you joy? And they couldn't think of anything. It was like this 1 to 1, 0 to 0 correlation every time. And I didn't define what spiritual practice was, and who am I or anyone else to say what that is for anyone. Though I will say, if someone asked me like to give them an example, I would usually just start with like time in nature. Like that can be a spiritual practice. Feeling a connection with something larger than yourself. Type of intelligent order to the universe. Even that's maybe offering, but they're just, if someone asked me for examples. So I found that incredibly compelling. And given that I was working in a psychiatric office, most of what I was seeing were psychiatric symptoms and diagnoses and treatment. So my job there initially was to get people off of pharmaceuticals with Chinese herbs, because the doctor there, Dr. Javed, who was also a mentor to me, also studied with my other mentor, Dr. Will Morris. So I think that's how that connection came to be. Dr. Java was so busy that I was almost kind of doing triage. And so I might see people for a few months before they could get in to see him. We would learn to regulate our nervous system, whether it was humming or breath work, just like, simple box breathing, longer exhale than inhale, walking outside and doing a little movement with the trees. Some really, sleep hygiene, some basic things. It got to where maybe I'd run labs and supplement deficiencies with food or supplements or herbs. That would be kind of later on. But what I found frequently was that by the time they get into that appointment, oftentimes they wouldn't need medication. Or if, once that did, you could, a smaller dose perhaps. But my fascination was that the people that would say, this brings me joy, and this is my spiritual practice, they improved or got better. These are kind of wild metrics, but quicker, or I didn't see them anymore. And it could be that they didn't like me, but I could see in the records that they just weren't there anymore. So I was like, okay, well, the people that need the most help that are still, that I could serve, were the ones that weren't finding joy in life and didn't have a spiritual practice. And was there a direct correlation? Like what was that? Can we explore it together? And so that's what started happening. Now I charted what people's answers were. I don't think it's incredibly relevant, but everyone that I share the story with does ask. And it was always about like what brings me joy. It was always about connection, whether it was to the higher self, to someone they loved, to their pet, to nature, to the divine, whatever the answer was, it was always about connection. And so that really gave me a key into maybe that was a missing piece in getting creative and finding ways for clients to cultivate that connection with any of those, and ultimately all of those, and then ultimately those are all the same.
Yes. Yeah.
And so the next step became, and we'll just like set aside, these are the things that bring me joy, and these are my spiritual practices. Like, all right, you're good.
Yes.
You're going to move to this level of practice with me. But now I'm going to talk about the people that said no. So I was like, how can I help them? And what I found myself doing was creating a ritual, and I started writing them down. And it was very individualized toward each client or patient based on their needs and their receptivity or their upbringing or their trauma or where they were in that moment. That eventually I've organized into, there's well over 100, but I'm trying to narrow it down to 49. 49 is a significant day or number in Daoist practice. There's like 7 times 7. Women like move in cycles of 7, 7 and then 14 and 21 and 20. Like
Mm-hmm.
So much there in Chinese medicine. To have like a little card deck that has a value or a virtue. So this was one of the entries in, as we did a value assessment. And I just started them out on index cards. In fact, I have them still on my desk. And just have people, because they can change over time also. It's like, what are my values? And are the decisions I'm making in my life in alignment with those values? And I'm not even asking if not, why not? It's just like, well, let's pick one and like, let's do something, create a ritual, a ceremony in life that will align with that to maybe spark some joy. And so I have, a virtue and then a ritual that goes along with it. And then in this book that's still in process, all these different stories. Most of them are mine. But some of them are not. It's some, I'm not going to share anything that I don't have a blessing or approval from anyone. And definitely would change names, but yeah. And so different rituals. And a lot of times those have to do with, I really like alliteration. So it'd be like burn, bury, bathe, which is basically fire, water, earth. So one of my favorite stories is a client of mine who had a hard time processing his divorce. It had been years and was just really holding on to the grief of that, and came up with, on his own, this had nothing to do with me, to burn the divorce papers, like in a candle. I have my candle thingy, and then take the ashes, which is pretty interesting because in Daoist medicine we do this. We write talismans and we burn them, and sometimes you put the ash in the water to drink it as the medicine. He took the ashes and melted some butter and put the ashes in butter and then put that on some toast and then ate it.
Wow.
Like fully embodiedly digest.
Yeah.
It was divorced and then literally poop it out right, of his body. And I was like, that is crazy. It's brilliant. And wow. So that's an example that is not mine, that I have so much reverence for, that kind of inspired everything that came to be.
Oh, God, that is incredible. And I am so excited about the idea of this book potentially coming out, and these rituals for remembrance.
That's right.
Yeah, ultimately, I remember.
Idol rituals.
Yeah, which it's like nectar for the soul, like to hear a title like that, because it's already an embodiment of what the body of work is and what the invitation is. And quite frankly, between that and ceremony, I mean, obviously, I know you honor so deeply lineage and ceremony and ritual and devotion to it all. And why do you feel that ceremony, as an example, in the ways that you will describe it means for you, is essential in these times?
I think carving out a moment in time that is sacred, that is reverent. I'm all about the and also all things are sacred at all times.
Yes.
But we're just saying, like, for this moment, I'm going to pause and be fully present and honor what is right now, whatever that may be. The Buddhist teachings say, like, suffering is wanting things to be any way other than they are. And so the way out of suffering is acceptance. Even if you're accepting that you're not ready to accept yet, like, that's on the path. And on a quantum physics perspective, their linear time is an illusion. Only in this particular dimension. So all we have is the present moment. All we can do to affect our karma, like in terms of cause and effect, or the future, is how we show up in each moment, and realizing that this life and this breath is a miracle. Like, truly, like, just spending time in nature, or the birth of a child, or, I mean, there's just so many examples. This life is such a gift. It's so miraculous, and to really rest back into the awe and wonder of that. You want every moment to be sacred, and rituals can be a bit, gosh, I hate to say this word, but I was going to say addictive.
I get you. Yeah.
It's like
comforting.
Like the body is a
Nourishing,
temple.
nourishing.
Yeah,
Mm,
rituals are so
mm.
nourishing.
Yeah.
Body as a temple and the home as a sanctuary.
Mm,
And, the simple act of having a sip of tea,
mhm,
right? Is like there's fire, there's water, these plants that can heal you.
mm,
You're inhaling life and exhaling, like we come into life with our first inhale and leaving with our last exhale. The inspiration
mm,
of a dream, of a moment to just be quiet and connect with Source, with the God of our understanding, Father, Mother, God. So many names we give the ineffable.
mm,
Tao.
mhm, mhm,
Or I also learned recently that the practice of the name Yahweh as God, it's all breath. So it's like you inhale Yah, exhale, like the whole cycle,
yeah.
just breath. And so all of life is summed up in this one microcosm of an inhale and exhale
Mm,
over and over. So I think it can be so lovely to bookend a
mhm,
day with a short ritual. It doesn't have to be long, it doesn't have to be elaborate. Just simply lighting a candle.
mhm.
It's like just inviting the presence of spirit of the divine into the space.
Ah,
Maybe you offer some incense or some type of spiced wood.
mhm,
In many traditions, in Lakota and Arapaho and the Daoist and Buddhist traditions, these are the ones I've studied the most, that smoke carries up to heaven our prayers. And
mm,
so, it's like the act of reverence to
mhm,
the words at an intention. It makes it holy,
mm,
sets it apart, I think is really what that word implies anyway.
mm.
It just gives more meaning and purpose to daily life.
Yes.
And I have a little paper that's all ratted because it's been there for like 10 years, but it sits by my sink and it says, washing the dishes is like bathing the Buddha. The mundane is the sacred.
Yes. Yes.
The reason I put it there was because it was my least favorite chore. I just like really did not like washing dishes. And so I was like, okay, this is my spiritual practice. How can I learn to find reverence and joy in this act of service? And so I see it every time I'm by my sink. And now actually love playing dishes immediately.
Yeah, it's so cool that doing the dishes, washing the dishes was something that was kind of like your annoyance, which I know you talk about turning into your superpower. That's like one of your signature sort of medicines. Whatever's annoying you, that's your superpower, right? I would love for you to speak on that in a moment, but I just wanted to say I was the same way about dishes. I can do virtually anything else. Washing dishes, just for some reason, I get all wet, and it just seems like it takes forever, even though there might be a dishwasher, which I hardly ever use. And then one day it was just like chop wood, carry water. Jack Kornfield wrote a great book with an amazing title called After the Ecstasy, the Laundry. And I'm just like, yeah, like it all belongs. It's all sacred. And how can I enjoy this and be present and grateful to the fact that I have water, that I have dishes? So it all just became this ceremony. And now I'm like, I love being in the kitchen washing the dishes. Yeah. But yeah, so can you weave that in for a moment of the annoyances becoming our superpower? Because I think a lot of people might be annoyed or irritated or just sort of undone with a lot right now. And they don't have the blessing to understand maybe what it all means and how it's truly for us. But yeah, let's weave that.
Yes, yes. So my favorite practice in approaching this is there's a practice called the inner smile, and it's basically
Mm,
what I would call emotional alchemy. So in these Eastern medicine, again, like paradigms of the five elements, each organ system goes to, well, everything, a taste, a season, a color, a
mhm,
direction, so forth. But the one I'm talking about right now is the emotion. So moving into fall, autumn here next week. So probably by the time this comes out, we'll
mhm,
definitely be in autumn, if not past it. I don't know the timeline, but
mhm,
the lungs go to grief,
mhm,
defined as sadness due to loss. And so if that is an emotion that you are feeling, the virtue here that I spoke to a moment ago about suffering is acceptance.
mhm,
the bigger one that you're speaking to about annoyance. Simpler way of saying, so like the liver and the gallbladder, I
Mhm.
guess it works with the color. I'm wearing green.
Oh, yeah.
Under our right rib cage.
Mhm.
It's the season of spring, but the liver's energetics are, in short, anger. But it's the whole paradigm: frustration, irritability, rage, anger. And it's paired with the gallbladder, and its emotion is resentment. If
Mm.
it doesn't have enough chi, it can be an inability to make decision.
Mhm.
Resentment if it's too much, and then it also has this quality of like half in and half out, like the channels zigzag on the
Mhm.
body, splitting the body in half.
Mm.
And so the virtue here is benevolence, which is kind of an
Mm.
antiquated word, though people do seem to know what it means, to
I
my
love the
surprise.
word.
And when I teach it, because I'm weaving ancient and modern, like ancient medicine and like modern, I guess like ancient wisdom and modern medicine, I guess
Mhm.
would be the
Mhm.
right bridge for that. I like to talk about forgiveness, which is not in the original framework. So I'm just acknowledging I'm stepping outside of that a little bit. And so the work there would be the practice of Ho'oponopono. Sorry,
Mm.
please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I forgive myself. That last,
Yes. Oh, that last part is so key.
forgive myself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I forgive myself. Yeah.
So when I teach, we feel like it's already landing already right here. We
Yeah,
say
totally.
a few times and leave a pause for it to like truly hit, because how many of us
Mm.
haven't?
Yeah.
I've never done that practice. So it always starts with forgiving the self first, right? Like loving the self first, so that it becomes a natural, spontaneous, we would say in Eastern philosophy, outpouring of our heart. So it's not even an effort to act out of kindness or goodness. It's just the natural instinct, the natural outpouring of our being, which is a lot of the aspect of like we become the medicine. We don't have to say anything or do anything. Like who we are, our personal cultivation at this point, our very presence is healing.
Mhm.
So I used to have this fantasy of I wonder, it was almost like a dream, a vision, an idea. So this Guan Yin type of character that I decided to embody myself as in this like fantasy. But it's
Mhm.
where she would kind of just float into a town, a village, a community, and everyone would be healed. And then she would,
Mhm.
and no one would ever remember she was there,
Uh-huh. Yes.
but everyone would be healed. Like that's sort of the ideal that I have, aside from the fact that I'm a single mom and I have bills to pay. So that's my own conflict that
We
I'm
are
finding ways to resolve, right?
we are very, very similar, actually. You said that even before we hit record, because I almost wore an identical top, but it was in kind of a peachy color, and it was going to be like a satin whole thing. I don't know if that's silk or satin, but and you're like, yeah, we're twins in many, many ways. And this concept of invisibility is really in deep resonance with me right now. It's also at the city frequency of my evolution and gene keys. And I know we've chatted about gene keys. So it's like really important. And for someone who had to be seen and really good at that for all the reasons why it served me and my karma, you know? And so it's like, to now sort of reconcile, well, how do you keep doing what we do? And it's not about that, but I'm finding there is always a way. And it's a little bit like the Wu Wei. It's a little bit like the effortless action, the presence.
Yes.
So I so love what you're saying. And I know that we have a lot of people listening and watching that can resonate. It's like, I know I have gifts to share, medicine to serve. And yet I don't need to be out there, which is what we've been taught in the old paradigm of hustle and grind, right? It's like, it can be felt.
They're very present. I mean, some
Yeah.
of the enlightened, powerful beings are the old grandma down the street, like mowing her yard and growing her vegetables that no one talks to. That's working magic all the time.
Yeah.
And like to speak to Wu Wei, right? It's like the action of non-action, but there is that moment when it's time to act that you act, and it might
That's
be
right.
99% of the time you're just fluid and observing and present and breathing, and that's it. But when it's time to act, you are prepared and you're ready and you swiftly move to action. And that's a piece that I was taught about Wu Wei that I didn't ever really grasp that is important. So there may be a moment when shining your light as bright as possible is essential. And then that becomes like this beautiful Marianne Williamson quote. It's really long, so I'll send it to you and you can put it in the notes if you want. But it's about like our shining bright gives everyone around us permission to do the same.
Our deepest fear.
Yes.
Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, talented, fabulous, and gorgeous? Who are you not to be? And I can't remember how it ends.
All children of God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Shine.
Shining bright. That's right. You got it.
Yeah. Thank you for weaving it in. That was really beautiful and potent. And what you just shared helped me see that that is the natural flow. Because what I've noticed even in my own journey of sharing online and having built something online, and that's how it was the broadcast signal of like, look at me. Let me make sure you look at me so that you can see all that I have to offer. And it worked really well until it no longer resonated. And but now it's like I'm kind of quiet, breathing, observing, being, deepening into my cultivation. And but when I need to come out, I come out. And it's like that kind of a snap of like, and so far it's been working. So, it feels like it's being blessed, because and, and probably like you, like so aware of the cleanliness of every move and in every act and every reshare and every comment, and that's a whole study and probably another conversation in and of itself, but it can keep
character development over time.
Yeah.
Who we are.
Yeah, and it's really beautiful to witness and honor. It feels essential to honor the evolution.
Yeah. And we have missteps. Like we make mistakes. So there's also grace.
Yeah.
Right? It's so important to have grace for ourselves and for others. My favorite Chinese character is Ling, which my teacher will sometimes translate it as grace. But it's woo woo on the bottom. So like woo being shaman, woo woo, female shaman, and then 3 squares for 3 mouths. And then the rain top radical, and it's the female medicine woman praying for rain to bless, to heal the people. And I think about that as grace, and also like perfection isn't the goal. Just like I'm not certain that healing is the goal, right? Like is there some moment when you're talking about being hard? Like is there some moment where we're stamped heal? We're now worthy to talk about it. Like it's actually our mistakes and our flaws and our annoyances and our, I don't know, just mistakes, missteps, trials that make us who we are. And we can teach best from what we've experienced ourselves and trying to help people not make the same mistakes we did. But it's never about judgment. It's about compassion, because this earth school, this being human, is quite challenging. Quite challenging. And even goodness, like it's in my gene keys too, like purity can be a shadow.
That's right.
Like, am I good enough? Am I worthy? Like, am I pure enough to prove that I'm worthy? Like this really
I can see that tying into. Yes. Did that ever connect with you when you were coming into the Daoist medicine and recognizing that they were carrying your karma?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. A whole other week. Yeah, because there's
in Chinese medicine, there's also this idea of like separating the clear from the turbid, like mud and the glass, and that's like a metaphor picture of our cultivation and becoming good. But there's this term that another teacher, her name's Olivia Cohn, translates from Chinese as cosmic goodness. So there's also like this ultimate reality, our Xing with an X, of all is one, all is the same. We're just facets and mirrors and fractals of the same thing, and at our essence, cosmically good. And then you have your Ming, which is your destiny. It's like written in the stars. It's the individual snowflake, as you were, that has to do the work.
Yep.
or
Mm-hmm.
not. But then karmically, like cause and effect.
Yeah, totally. That's the embodied ascension that I've been really feeling into and experiencing. And honestly, it wasn't an invitation anymore. It was like, this is a demand, if you are willing. And it's just like, why would I not? We're in these times, and that's what's brought me into Will Reason's work and the Gene Keys and yeah, the depths of shadow work, and then working with a homeopath so that I can understand where it all lives in my body and how to treat the different parts and really honor this menopause era that I'm in. That's the bookend in many ways to my first period and all that I was navigating at that point, being 13. And it's a threshold of initiation. So it's like such a big year. And it's like, I'm just so here for it. It's so tender. It's so vulnerable. And
Yeah,
yet,
you're the second spring.
exactly. So, I don't know when
Rebirth.
what,
The rebirth, right? Your second spring.
when does that get to come? I mean, I've
Right
heard
now.
people talk about it, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Well, no, that's all just right now. You're in it.
Yes, that's how it
This is my
feels.
reframe. This is my reframe for you. And like,
Yes, that's how it feels. Yeah, I don't have to be in menopause anymore. I did it for the past year and I did it well.
yeah, good
Yeah, we're
job.
moving into second spring, and that's how my life feels. It's shifting. There's a frequency that feels really beautiful and joyous and divine, and a lot of it, it's me rooting here and knowing that this is exactly where I'm meant to be. And yeah, and it's so huge. I what? I'm not doing that. But at my birthday. Actually, let me say that to you because I don't know if you know that. Up until my birthday, which you came to offer tea ceremony, I wasn't sure. Like, I was literally in the shower a week before, like, what am I doing here? I answered the call. I'm here. I've been 11 months. The deepest grief portal, and all of the unraveling of California, my mom, just all of it, and being near her and enjoying that, and like, what am I doing here? And then that tea ceremony, there was so much love that was poured into my home, my backyard, that you brought, that we brought. And then we did the living blessing, the living funeral flower blessing, which you were extraordinary and really led the way of what's possible inside something that intimate with people who were just coming together for the first time. And now that feels very familiar and comfortable for us. Yeah. Just several months later. The next morning I woke up and I just was beaming with joy in my heart as I was opening my eyes, and I was like, I'm right where I belong. Yeah. So it's the second spring.
Yeah.
Thank you for being a part of that.
Ah, thank you.
Such a gift to know you. You are just this beautiful celestial being, just this miracle of a light. So,
I feel the same about you.
oh,
I would imagine you feel similar about the work that we do. It's like we're not even, it's funny, I'm looking off to the side because my acupuncture room is over here. So I'm like projecting myself into my practice space, but it's not, I'll speak for myself, but I feel like I'm speaking for many. Like needles are one of my tools, or like tuning forks or song. But they're just tools, and we each have them and take turns being in the seat of teacher and student, and
mm,
children are on the path. And for me, it's not like I'm doing something to someone else, or maybe not even like for someone else. I'm just using the tools I have to remind them of their inner healer, their inner teacher, their inner wisdom, because the body has its own innate intelligence to heal itself. I think it's somewhat true in trauma work
mhm.
and all of these realms. And so it's so lovely to sit together like this, to just be a mirror reflecting back. Like my favorite haiku doesn't translate as well in English from Japanese. It's a lot shorter and not syllabically proper, but it just says mirror facing mirror, nowhere else.
Mm,
Just, that's it.
mm.
Like different fractals of the same diamond or on Indra's net. It's so
Ah,
lovely to be seen and heard and
yeah, same. Yeah. Thank you for that reflection. And it reminds me, I'll add into that. And then I have maybe 2 final questions. There's a Rumi quote that I have shared so many times in this podcast, and it feels like it wants to be woven in. And it's, as you live deeper and deeper in the heart, the mirror gets cleaner and clearer.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. Okay,
Yeah.
I have more for you, but I have to.
Okay, you got to find it.
It's called A Gift for You, and I have it printed out in my office, but a gift for you, Rumi. Gift to bring you.
A gift to bring you.
Okay, I found it.
Okay.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You need to receive this. You have no idea how hard I've looked for a gift to bring you. Nothing seemed right. What's the point of bringing gold to the gold mine or water to the ocean? Everything I came up with was like taking spices to the Orient. It's no good giving my heart and my soul because you already have these. So I've brought you a mirror. Look at yourself and remember me. Yeah, it got me again too.
Wow. That's real medicine.
How fun to be with friends who are quoting Rumi and Marianne Williamson, like, who's to each other and like finishing it for each other.
This has been so fab. I knew it would be, but like, yeah, just been really nourishing for me. And I'm just honored by you and grateful for more and more and all of that. But like, wow, thank you. And you really helped me actually put something into words. I've been really excited and humbled and deeply grateful that there's this group of women that I have had the honor to get to know here. And I obviously count you amongst them. And it's the first time in my life where I feel like we are all that for each other. And it's new for me. I had always brilliantly, strategically, but unconsciously positioned myself as sort of like the leader, the one in charge. And just ever since moving here, it's like there's a whole new way of relational dynamics. And it's so potent and beautiful and also just relaxing. It's just like, I can be invisible for like an entire night, and just know that like wherever I'm needed, I'll be guided, but I don't have to guide. It's just, and everyone's got their gifts and their medicine. And yeah, it's been a beautiful experience. Yeah, there's something magical.
Take turns.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
You said that before we hit record, and so that feels like a really lovely sort of bookend to our time together today. And really that gives us permission to hold space and then to also learn to cultivate the capacity to know who can and when, and honor that. And yeah, it's just so good. Is there anything that you feel called to share at the end of this conversation outside of, let people know where to find you, or that you'd wish you'd been asked?
No, I can close us with a blessing if you like.
I would love that. Yes.
May the thoughts of our minds, the words from our lips, the meditations of our heart, and the actions that pour out, may they each be a blessing to ourselves, to each other, to everyone we encounter. And may we come to know our radiant, true nature of boundless peace and boundless love. Thank you, Michelle.
Wow. Awesome.
So,
yeah, thank you. Gosh, Cass, where is the best place for people to connect and learn more about your incredible services and offerings, retreats and private practice and Reiki and ceremony and anything else that you would want to offer that they might want to know about in case it sparks curiosity?
And the best place is my website. So it's drcass.com, doctor spelled out, DOCTOR. Mm-hmm. The other site is a marijuana website, and it's cool, but it's not me.
Okay.
So DOCTOR, drcass.com. And it's the same handle on Instagram, doctor.cass.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. We'll link that in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, everything's there.
Okay. Well, we will definitely share that. And Gosh, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Until more.
Next time.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm.